Our minds are almost never silent, are they? They're constantly churning. Old memories, worries about the future, just this endless internal debate. It can feel like a storm inside your own head. And while this is a totally normal part of being human, it really makes you wonder, can we find a way to quiet this noise? In this explainer, we're going to explore that internal struggle and a really profound shift in perspective that might just offer a path to peace.
And that's a feeling a lot of us know all too well. The sense that your own mind has become this place of conflict, where you're constantly under attack. From your own thoughts. It's just so tiring, so draining, and it feels incredibly personal. A battle that feels like it has no end in sight.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Can this internal war actually be stopped? Is there a way to call a ceasefire with our own minds? Or are we just stuck in this fight forever? Let's dive into that and explore a journey toward an answer.
For me, this whole journey started pretty subtly. As a kid, I was a big daydreamer. My mind was always wandering off to faraway places, which I honestly just thought was a sign of a quick, clever brain. But as I got older, that inner world, it started to change.
Right around 25, I started feeling this deep, persistent exhaustion that just didn't make any sense. I could do nothing all day and still feel completely wiped out. And it wasn't the kind of tired that sleep could fix. It was this mental friction, a constant internal resistance that was just wearing me down from the inside.
I slowly started to realize that the source of this fatigue was a voice in my head, a relentless inner monologue that was always there, always talking. It was constantly analyzing, judging, trying to convince me of something. During the day, it was kind of manageable, like background noise, but at night, it became something else.
The second my head hit the pillow, this voice would become almost cruel. It would drag me back into the past, making me relive the most embarrassing, painful, heartbreaking moments of my life. It would analyze every mistake, just chew on every single regret over and over again. It honestly felt like being mentally flogged. So many nights were just lost to hours of this struggle before I could finally pass out from sheer exhaustion.
And it really did feel like an illness. It felt like my brain was sick. But unlike a physical problem, there was no diagnosis, no prescription, no doctor who could tell me how to fix it. I felt completely trapped inside a mind that wasn't working right, and I had absolutely no idea what to do.
So I got pretty desperate for a way out. I wondered if it was genetic, some kind of flaw I'd inherited. I searched online, but everything I found just felt so shallow, it was mostly nonsense. The usual advice just didn't go deep enough to touch what I was really feeling.
That's when I really turned to books. For me, reading became a kind of self-rescue mission. I had no idea which book might hold an answer, so I just read everything I could get my hands on. Ancient philosophy, modern psychology, books from all over the world. I was just searching for anyone, anywhere in history who had felt this way, and more importantly, to see if they'd found a way out. And what I found was actually deeply comforting. I wasn't alone. This wasn't some personal failing. It turns out, this is a fundamental challenge of being human. It's why Steve Jobs went to India to study Zen. It's why millions of people today practice yoga and meditation. They're all, in their own ways, trying to quiet that same inner noise. This struggle is universal.
And through all of this searching, I started to see a common mistake that pretty much everyone, myself included, was making. We were all approaching the problem from the completely wrong angle. We were trying to fight our own minds.
Trying to stop your brain from thinking is, it's an effort that's guaranteed to fail. Why? Because thinking is what the brain does. It's its main job. Think about it like this. Your heart's job is to pump blood. Your brain's job is to think. You can't just tell your heart to stop beating, and in the same way, you can't just command your brain to stop having thoughts. It's an automatic, unstoppable process.
So if trying to stop our thoughts is pointless, then maybe the thoughts themselves aren't the real problem. Having a chaotic, worried, or even a negative stream of thought, that's not the root cause of the suffering. The real issue is actually one level deeper.
Here it is. The problem isn't that we have thoughts, it's that we believe we are our thoughts. Because a thought pops up in our mind, we automatically think, that's me. We identify with it completely, we fuse with it. And that is the true source of the struggle.
And this brings us to a revelation that is so simple to say but really profound when you start to get it. It's an idea that can completely change your relationship with your own mind and basically give you the key to unlock yourself from all that mental friction. Just let that sink in for a second. The stream of consciousness flowing through your head, all the worries, the judgments, the memories, the daydreams, they are not you. They are just mental events happening inside of you. They don't represent who you are any more than the sound of your stomach growling represents who you are.
So here's the critical shift. The trap is believing I am my thoughts, which locks you into this constant, exhausting battle to control them. The freedom comes when you realize I have thoughts. It's a tiny change in language, but it creates this crucial separation. It reframes you as the observer, the awareness that's experiencing the thoughts, instead of being the thoughts themselves.
We can use a few metaphors to make this a little clearer. Think of your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky of your awareness. They just appear, hang around for a bit, and then dissolve. Or like fireworks, these brief, bright bursts of energy that just fade away. Or like ocean waves that rise and fall. They're all just passing phenomena that you can see, but you can never really hold on to.
And this is maybe the most powerful metaphor of all. You are not the fleeting, always changing weather patterns of your mind. You are the vast, stable, unchanging sky in which those clouds appear. The sky is never actually harmed by a storm, and your true self is never fundamentally harmed by a negative thought. The clouds just pass through.
Okay, so understanding this intellectually is the first big step. But how do we actually put it into practice? How do we go from knowing where the sky to actually feeling like the sky? This brings us to a simple, practical technique.
The whole practice is really just one of detached observation. So when a thought or an emotion comes up, especially a difficult one, the first step is just to notice it. Then, instead of fighting with it, you just acknowledge it calmly, almost formally. You could say to yourself, there's a thought about work, or even something like, thank you for sharing. But the key is the third step. You consciously decide not to engage. You don't analyze it, you don't debate it, you don't feed it any more of your energy. You just let it be. And what you'll find is that a thought without your attention, it has a very short lifespan. It loses its power and just fades away.
And what this practice does over time is it creates a space, a buffer, between you, the observer, and that stream of thought. You can picture it like a protective river. The inner voice is still there, on the other side. It can still call out to you, try to get your attention, but it's lost its power to grab you and pull you into the current. You're not fused with it anymore.
Now, it's really important to understand that this isn't a one-time cure. You're not going to reach some state where the inner voice is just gone forever. This is about learning a new way to relate to your own mind. It's a skill that you practice for a lifetime.
The thing is, you can't kill this inner voice because it's a natural part of how your brain works. You can't banish it. It's always going to be there in the background. Real mental health and peace don't come from getting rid of the voice, but from learning to coexist with it. It's about changing your relationship with it from one of constant conflict to one of detached, peaceful observation.
This sentence really sums up the entire practice perfectly. It's not about thought control, it's about not getting tangled up. Let the thoughts come and go. Let the mind think whatever it wants. Your only job is to not get lost in the story, to not mistake the passing clouds for the sky.
And so we can end with this question. Once you realize that you aren't a prisoner of your thoughts, but the observer of them, you gain this incredible freedom. You're no longer completely consumed by the drama inside your head, and this frees up a huge amount of mental and emotional energy. So the question becomes, with this newfound space and freedom, what will you choose to focus on instead?